situation, my model has thick, curly, wavy hair that she tends to like to dress without as much volume as she naturally has. Now, normally what we'll do is we'll go through and layer a lot of the volume out so that it lays a little more flatter opposed to being full and bigger. However, she just got some new highlights in, and if we were to go through and cut layers into this hair to remove a lot of the bulk, you could see we would cut a lot of the highlights out. So what we're going to do is actually a disconnected, graduated bob. So what I mean by that is we're going to go underneath the highlights, cut a graduated bob in this underneath, removing all of this bulk. So all of this bulk will be gone. Then the highlights can come over it, and we're able to retain all of the length and all of the color, still removing all of the weight, but without having to compromise or cut any of the new highlights off. So I'm starting the haircut by taking a center section down the middle of the back, dividing it in half from the left side to the right side. So now I'm taking a diagonal section at the occipital bone to the top of the ear on both sides. This is where the graduated bob is going to happen. So now I'm taking my very first section. You can see it's a diagonal section. I'm going to comb the hair out and hold it in a 45-degree angle. So it's a little bit longer where my knuckles are at the top of the occipital bone, and the hair starts to get shorter and shorter as I work my way down the head to the bottom of the neck. And that first section was my guide. I'm now taking another diagonal section, combing this section to my previous section, which was the very first section that I cut. And you can see it right there. There's my guide. And that was my guide to establish the graduation as far as this undercut that we're doing, this disconnected graduated bob undercut that we're doing. And I'm going to just take diagonal sections on both the right side and then on the left side, using that very first section as my guide to create the graduated bob underneath the disconnection. Alright, so I have now completed cutting the graduation on the right side of the head. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the left side of the head. You can see my very first section is a slightly diagonal section, and I'm using the very first section that I cut in this graduated haircut that I used for the guide to carry on to the right side. I'm going to use that same first section to carry on to the left side. Alright, so now that I have completed cutting the graduated bob with my fingers, I have established the graduated shape. I'm now going to establish the desired outline that I'm looking for. So you can see I'm simply just taking the tips of my scissors and chipping in the desired outline that I want. Alright, so what I'm doing right here is just simply cleaning up the neck hair using my scissors. You could potentially use your trimmers here to just clean up the neck really fast. However, after cutting hair for over 2 decades to the rich and famous in New York City, where clients would pay anywhere from $1 to $2 to $3, $4, $500 for a haircut, there were quite a few women clients that did not want trimmers touching their neck. So you had to learn how to remove that neck hair using your scissors, and that's basically what I'm doing here. You can see I have my client's neck stretched a little bit by simply tilting her head away. That pulls the skin tight, which helps prevent you from cutting the skin, which of course is not a good thing if you cut your client's neck. So now that I have completed cutting in the outline that I want, I'm going to scissor over comb the graduation just to make it look really sharp, have a very precision look to it, and I'm also going to take my comb and scissor over comb the very bottom of the outline. I want more of a softer outline. I have created the outline shape that I want, but I want to soften it up by not having this hard line. So you can see right here, I'm just doing some scissor over combing, some reverse scissor over combing, just to soften that line up so that it doesn't look so hard, but still has that very precision look to it, but in a softer sense.
now that the graduation is all complete, it is now time to drop the rest of the hair down so we can start to cut the outline of the bob. Alright, so I did a quick blow dry and now it is time to cut in the new outline on the right side of my model's bob. So you can see we're bringing it up about a ½ inch, and originally my model had an asymmetric bob, so the left side is shorter than the right side. However, my model wants to grow her hair into a traditional bob again. So we now have to cut the right side ever so often so that the left side can keep growing to eventually catch up and be the same length. And then at that point, my model can let both sides grow to her desired length that she wants for her bob. But in the meantime, because my model has so much hair, it's very thick, typically my model likes to have her bob layered to remove a lot of the bulk so that when she blow dries it straight, it's a lot easier. But because we didn't want to cut so much of the highlights out of her hair, that is why today, instead of layering her bob, we decided to do a disconnected, undercut, graduated bob. So, right here, we're just going through and sharpening up the outline on the right side, and then we're going to do that on the left side as well. Alright, so as you can see here on the left side, I'm just going to go through and clean up the line. Again, I'm not really going to cut any length off because this is the side that has to grow and catch up with the right side. So you'll notice very little is going to come off. It's more of just kind of a cleaning on this left side. So as you can see, the haircut is officially all done, and the great thing about this haircut is that we were able to remove so much of the weight, so much of her hair on the underneath by cutting the disconnected graduated bob. By cutting that disconnected graduated bob, we cut all of that hair that would normally have been long, short, making it so much easier for my model to be able to blow dry her hair straight on the days she decides to. So, the beautiful thing about doing this haircut is, you can see, we retained all of the highlights as well. Normally when you cut weight out, if you've got a lot of hair and you blow dry your hair straight, you know what I'm talking about. It takes forever. So you want to get rid of a lot of the weight, a lot of the bulk. So typically what you do is you go through and layer the haircut. And layering will remove a lot of the weight. However, in this particular case, it would have removed a lot of her highlights as well. And we did not want to cut the highlights. So that is why we chose to do the undercut, disconnected, graduated bob, so that all of that weight on the underneath could go, but then her highlights could stay. Alright, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions, don't forget to put them down in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more great videos coming up.